Hello and happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there, and welcome to everyone else out there. Today we're going to take a look and have a little showdown of a Chinese fake counterfeit Gibson labeled 1953, 54 actually. They did have the wraparound tailpiece in late 53 too, as I understand it. And my beloved 1953 genuine Les Paul, which has been refinished and converted to a Nashville bridge, and the neck has been reset, and it has had some modifications. But this is what I have, and this is what we're going to compare. And you can see the Chinese guitar headstock on the left-hand side, and the 1953 genuine Gibson on the right. Notice that the truss rod cover is quite a bit higher on the headstock than the Chinese and the modern Gibsons. The modern Gibsons have a lower truss rod cover location as well. I didn't picture it in this particular video, but the Chinese also has a hex head wrench truss rod adjustment, where Gibson uses a acorn nut for the truss rod adjustment. So that's a difference that you can tell too. Also, you'll notice that the carve in the actual Gibson is much more pronounced, much deeper dish than the Chinese Les Paul there. Also, the color. My friend Brett mentioned this to me, that he's had one or two maybe of those gold tops come through his hands, and he said that the color has always been a little off. Now, this refinish Gibson that I have has been refinished but with a vintage gold paint that's supposed to be just like what Gibson used. It was done by RS Guitar Works. I don't know if you've heard of those guys, but they did a really great job with this before I purchased it. But yeah, you can kind of see that the color on the Chinese Gibson is a little strange. The sparkle is a little finer too. I mean, I'm not going to knock this guitar all day. I'm going to tell you the good and the bad and the ugly, and just be honest about comparing this guitar to other Gibsons and other guitars that I've had in my hands. I've had a lot of guitars over my lifetime, and some really crappy ones and some really great ones. I tend to hold on to the great ones, and usually I launch the ones that don't measure up, I guess you might say. And it had a weird pick guard on it when I got it, as well as some other things. You'll notice that the back cover plates on the Chinese one, which is above, are mismatched. There's a cream and a black cover plate, which that's just how I got it. I got it from a U.S. seller on eBay. And I thought, he's got it in his hands. He's probably done some modifications to it, which he mentioned. The tuners were replaced. He replaced the pickups with Fleer. I don't know how to pronounce it, but they're very cheap P90 pickups, and they sound kind of cheap too. And you can also see the differences in the headstock and the heel joint there. Overall, it's a pretty convincing copy, though, and it feels pretty good, and it plays pretty good. So there's that. But yeah, I just kind of thought that if I bought it from a U.S. seller, it would be a bit of a less hassle, quicker shipping, and some of the things would be addressed perhaps. And I guess he did address some of the things, some of the typical upgrades that people like to do. Now, these pickups I would not have used the cheapest P90s that you can buy. They sound okay, but you'll see that, well, you'll hear in the playing demo that the high notes are very thin and they kind of get lost compared to the bass strings. So there is the real 53 Les Paul, and that Brazilian rosewood neck has really had some wear. It's just very comfortable. It was refretted, so it's really great to play still. Every time I plug this guitar in, I get lost and just start kind of jamming and wandering around. Songs fall out of this guitar. Those are the original pickup covers too there that look very worn, and that's how they age kind of. They're very weird and very fragile, but I just thought I'd leave them on. Here's a better close-up, and you can also see that the hex tuner screws, bolts, nuts, whatever that are used on these particular models. That's a telltale sign of a genuine Gibson from the early 50s. It has the hex head inserts there. I did replace those tuners with some Cluson error correct tuners that are a little higher ratio. I do have a review of that 1953 Les Paul Gold Top with the gold back on my channel some time ago. You can check that out if you're interested in it. And then here is the brand new Chinese version. It actually came with a cream truss rod cover with chrome screws, and I ordered this genuine Gibson and put it on there. I also thought about putting the pickup covers, some cream pickup covers on it, and I did order a cream pick guard for it. It came with a tortoise pick guard. It looked very odd, I thought, so I just took it off. The cream one doesn't fit perfectly. Now look how pronounced the headstock contours are on that quote-unquote open book. It really flares out. That's pretty indistinguishable. Well, I guess it's distinguishable. Maybe there's a better word. You can definitely tell that is not a real Gibson. I mean, they almost flare out like bat wings, the way they are so pronounced, and the middle of the bookend is too. Now, modern Gibsons don't look the same as this one, but this is the original 53 Gibson Les Paul. You'll notice, too, one of the telltale things is that one of the sides is a little more pronounced than the other. That's just part of the handmade and the tooling that they used back in those days. That's like a trademark Gibson, real Gibson thing that you can tell. And it's much more moderate. It's a lot less pronounced than the Chinese one here. And this has some Geiger replacement locking tuners. I was not familiar with Geiger before I bought this thing, but they seem to work pretty well. The previous owner had really wound a lot of string winds around the tuner, and I haven't remedied that yet. And you'll notice there's a bit of a tuning issue in the playing demo coming up. But here is the refinished back of my beautiful 53. I am biased. I mean, I'm going to tell you the 53 is heads and above better than this guitar. But is it that far off? No, not really. It isn't that far off. It's a pretty good guitar. Here's the routing inside the Chinese guitar, and I don't really know what's going on with all those extra holes. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. The routing is fairly clean, I guess. There's a lot of tooling marks around the inside. I noticed too that they use springs on the pickup screws that you use to adjust the height, as well as this rubber stabilizer, I guess, that keep the P90 in place and adjustable, so you can get some height up and down traverse on it. And then the rear cavity as well is a little strange in the tooling that they use, and not quite as clean, I guess you might say, as the front one, but you know, it's a pickup cavity. Even the Gibson pickup cavities don't look like they're fantastic, like you want to eat some beans out of there or something. It's just a pickup cavity. It doesn't have to be fancy or finish. But you know, you can kind of see the finish on this guitar and the color. It is a gold top, I guess, but it's got kind of an orangish hue. I don't know. It's a little strange. This is the bridge that came with it, and those hex head screws in the back or to adjust the intonation. So the whole bridge will go either forward or backwards based on what you need to dial in the intonation. And the funny thing is, this guitar came with it almost adjusted all the way back. You can see how far unscrewed those are. And it was a little flat on the intonation, so I had to adjust them pretty much all the way back. There wasn't much play left. And it's still not completely in great intonation, but these wraparound bridges never are in perfect intonation, even with the staggered lightning thing. You can also see here the differences in the three-way switch and the hardware that they use on the three-way switch. I put that poker chip on there. It didn't have one at all when I got it, and I can't remember honestly if that poker chip is an actual Gibson product or not. It was just in my parts box. And then here's another shot of the headstock, which actually looks pretty good, but you can see that's not my string winding. That's not the technique I use. I just left that, and there were a lot of winds on there, and it did fall out of tune. I think these are 9s that are on here right now. They seem very slinky, and so that's part of the difference in the comparison of the video. I mean, look, you're dealing with 1953 Gibson P90 pickups versus $23 a pair Fleer, Floer, I think is what it is. Fact check me on this, whatever. And so, you know, they're not going to sound the same. Let's just say that. Maybe somebody in the comments will say, oh, those Chinese pickups are way better than Gibson. And maybe to your ears they are. That's great. But I think it's serviceable. I've been thinking about ordering a pickup, at least one P90 pickup for the bridge if I'm going to end up keeping this guitar. I'm not sure if I will. I have a lot of guitars. Now check the heel joint here. It's got a couple different pieces of wood, which is really odd. Also noticed in the cavity, I didn't see a neck tenon. I didn't see that in the route, which is really strange too. So this heel joint is a bit of a mystery to me, and I'm not sure what the construction is on the back side of that. There's also some strange wood choices. Here's a good close-up of those Geiger professional tuning machines. Have you guys had any experience with these? They seem pretty good to me. I don't know. I haven't used them a ton yet, obviously, but they seem fairly good. You know, I guess time will tell. But they seem to keep it in tune, except, like I said, the string is so slack. Now check out this three-way cavity cut. It's not a masterpiece of craftsmanship here. You can tell that it's kind of oblong on the outline, and it's like super large compared to the inner diameter. It's just very strange compared to a Gibson cut. Also, they guessed their way through a lot of different holes there. I don't know what the deal is. Here's some imperfections on the body that I noticed. Now, whether that's dye, that's probably dye or stain. That's kind of just manifesting itself there. They didn't get complete coverage. The knobs, too, are a really strange color. They don't look like anything like modern or other Gibsons. They're just a really weird color. And look how the different pieces of the body change there. So it's definitely not a one-piece body. But you'll see, especially in this next picture that I show, or maybe it's the picture after, I can't remember, that there's a veneer on the back to kind of hide that this is several pieces of what I'm thinking is mahogany, but who freaking knows. So yeah, you can see that it's a very hard line of two different pieces that were glued together. They don't even really match as far as like the staining or the color goes. It's okay though. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to crap on this guitar. I'm just giving you an honest opinion and some facts about what's going on with it and how it's constructed. But yeah, you can see right there clearly that line is not on the back of the guitar. So they have a very thin veneer, or maybe it's a 16th or 8th inch, maybe cap. It's probably 16th inch or so of mahogany, seemingly mahogany on the back to make it look like it's one piece, but it isn't. The thing has a pretty thick neck, this one does, And I've really not seen another one that has a wraparound tailpiece. I don't know if this was some kind of custom order. You know, you can get a lot of these Chinese guitars made to order the way you want them. But there you kind of have it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The 53, to me, you know, really blows it away. It's a model of craftsmanship, and it's a beautiful thing to hold and feel. The Chinese guitar doesn't feel terrible. I've had other guitars like Epiphones and maybe even some cheaper Gibsons that were equivalent to the feel and the playability. The action's a little high. I tried to dial it down a little bit, but the playing demo will kind of tell a tale. Of course, different pickups are going to change the way that is. That's another thing too. It says it has CTS pots in it, but I think they're just stamped. I don't think they're real CTS pots at all. Those are also rip-offs. So thanks for stopping by, and enjoy the playing demo. Take care of yourselves now, all right?